Hey everybody, Ultimate Oddball here. Sensory processing issues are very common among autistic people and tend to be misunderstood or not understood at all by those who don't experience them. Experiences range from slight discomfort to extreme discomfort and even pain caused by various sensory input. It can be smells, sounds, taste, touch, like with clothing or other material, or visually based like bright lights. Sensory input is processed differently, often to excess or at too high of a level. Textures, patterns, and any other sensory stimuli may be particularly enjoyable or interesting to look at as well. Sensory processing issues tend to be overwhelming when combined together, especially alongside other things like anxiety and executive dysfunction. One thing I've noticed is when I start to focus deeply on something, my other senses sometimes dim slightly. I first noticed it while I was listening to loud music and reading a particularly interesting piece of information. This type of perceptual shift may explain why autistic people sometimes seem to not be listening when they're intently focused. The senses shift to match the mind's focus, and this can mean that the rest of the world is tuned out. It's important to note, though, that no one can tell if an autistic person is listening simply through watching them. The very things that neurotypical people consider absolute signs of a lack of attention, such as aversion to eye contact, stimming, and disengaged body language, are common behavior when it comes to autistic people. I've found that, as I become more anxious and more overwhelmed by sensory input, that I withdraw more and more into my own mind. Public spaces with a lot of people tend to be especially difficult for autistic people. I especially dislike restaurants and nightclubs. When there are a lot of independent sounds happening distinctly, especially multiple conversations, it becomes like white noise. It all blends together, but my brain still tries to make sense of it. On top of that, in a busy public place, there's a huge amount of sensory input that I think most neurotypical people miss or their brains instinctively filter out. My brain does not filter any of this out, so it becomes a cacophony of sensory input that I dislike immensely. Sensory processing issues vary significantly among autistic people. Please keep in mind that they are not within the control of the person experiencing them. Try to be understanding, even if it doesn't make sense to you. In my experience, once sensory overload starts, it only gets worse, and that's why it's important to step away and find a quiet area to decompress. I believe that a lot of meltdowns could be averted if autistic people and parents of autistic children were more willing to do this. Temporarily disconnecting from the overwhelming environment can help tremendously. Another thing that helps me a lot is carrying a portable video game system to play when I'm out of the house. When I play video games, my focus centers on that, and the rest of the world becomes a bit quieter and less overwhelming. It gives me something to hold my attention, help time go by quicker, and busy my hands. I realize that some people will tell you that it's rude to let your kid play games during gatherings or out in public, but it's very common for people to sit and stare at their phone at the same gatherings. Let them interact to the level that they find comfortable. If they're better able to cope with being in public in an overwhelming environment by playing video games, then I think it's worthwhile to allow them to do so. Well, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for coming by, and have a good day.
Hey everybody, Ultimate Oddball here. If you want to stay up to date with my videos, click subscribe. I release a new video on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I do gaming commentary and review. I talk about my experiences on the autism spectrum, and I share my opinions and thoughts on a variety of matters. My hope is that, through my videos, I can help to dispel some of the misinformation, confusion, and negativity people have regarding autism. Thank you for helping me do that by watching these videos.